Hey guys, Lugnans here. Welcome back. Today I'm taking the door off. I found something that I need to fix, and the door has to come off. So we're taking the door off. So in order to take the door off, we have to take a couple things off, unhook some things, and then unbolt it from the car, and then put it on a stand so I can work on it. And we'll go into, and when we get the door off, I'll show you what the issue I found was and how we're gonna fix that issue. So, but first let's get the door off. Let's take a look at what we need to do in order to take this door off, which is a very heavy door. So, I got some tools to take the door off. We'll take a look at those as well, and let's get looking. Let's see what we got. So, a couple of things we've already taken off. First thing we took off was already took the mirror off. That's out of our way. Took the door handle off. That's out of our way. Take that off when I did the body work on the door, and so we're good there. One thing I'm not going to take out is the window. I have no power hooked up to the car. The wirings for the windows is a mess. So gonna leave the glass in there, but that's okay. It's just gonna make it a little heavier, a little less manageable. But with what I have to take the door off, that won't be an issue. So let's open it up and take a look on the inside what we need to do. So here's the inside of the door. This is a power door lock and power window equipped car. So we have some wiring going into the door for those two functions. So I plan on replacing all this wiring with a new harness, a new power door lock, power window harness, which will replace this mess. Yeah, it's not looking pretty. It's been spliced. It's been who knows what. So I'm gonna replace that, which also replaces the wiring going into the door. So technically I don't need to save this wiring. I could just cut it off, take the door off, but I don't want to do that just in case I need this wiring, in case a connector is different on the new harness, your wires aren't long enough, they're not correct for this year car, whatever the reason is. I'm going to save these until we have the new wires and everything's hooked up and back and running again, and use these as a reference point. So we'll do that, and then we'll get on to taking the door apart. And how we're going to take the door apart is I'm going to leave the hinges bolted up to the body end of the door, and I'm actually going to remove the pin. There's two pins on each hinge, and I'm going to remove the pins and then pull the door off the car. I want to replace the hinges and the bushings inside the hinge anyways, and this also will keep the hinges, everything bolted up in alignment, so when I put the door back on again, I just slide it through back new pins, and everything stays lined up, all the gaps, everything's the same, and there's no issues with that. Now I could unbolt the hinge, but then I'd have to go and realign everything again, which I may still have to do, because as the pins wear out, there's some play. There really actually isn't any play in this door, but it is 40 years old. Those 40-year-old hinges, 40-year-old bushings, and a very heavy door. So I'm just going to replace them. It's easy enough to do, inexpensive, and yeah. So let's get to work and get this wiring undone, and then we'll show you how I'm going to take the door off. Also, actually, I have to take the fender off to access. Well, I don't have to. I think I can get everything from in here, but it'll make it a little bit easier to take everything off. Just have that out of the way, pull the door off. So I'll pull the fender off as well after we get to this wiring. So let's tackle the wiring first and show you what needs to be done in order to remove the door. So let's get started. Alright. take off. We gotta get rid of that. Now, I don't think that was a factory way of installing it, so this might also be incorrect as it is. I'll have to see if I can find some reference points of what it should, how it should be wired when I do go to rewire it, because again, this is a mess and is why I'm going to replace this. And yeah, no need for having any electrical issues with that wiring. Wires I'm going to have I'm going to have a problem with the power door lock wire because it runs behind where the glass is, but it doesn't appear to be connected to anything on this end. That one I might just cut. I can always resplice that wire later. But like I said, I am replacing this harness anyways. The main reason is this. These connectors here where they go into the switch, I'm going to put new switches for the door locks, which would these go to, and wires. This is giving me a problem here. There we go. Alright, so now we have that done. We have this grommet in here that I need to, there we go. That should allow me to pull these wires straight on through and out. So now that I got all the wires out, you can see I was able to get them all out of the way. I will unbolt the fender, take the fender off, and then we'll be able to see what we got to do to take the rest of this door off. And I will show you the fancy tool I have to help us get this door off, as well as remove the pins. So inside of this box is what I'm going to use to take that door off using my floor jack. And there we got, this is what we use, this is what I'll use to take the hinge off. This takes the spring off, and then this is to remove the bushings. So those three tools are what we'll actually use to take the door off. This is what we're going to use to support the weight of the door. So this, once this is assembled, use the floor jack and support the door, protect the hinge, pop the pins, and this should all be right off the car. So let's get to assembling this thing. Now, in the past, I have made a sling with some straps that I use my engine hoist, which worked, but it's a little cumbersome to move around in the garage, where this is much, much easier. Over this. Into place. There we go. And jack this up. And basically you just want to support the door. Alright, so here's, you can see the spring up in here. That's what we got to remove now. And here's the tool we're going to use, and by tightening the screw, it compresses it, and then we should be able to pull that right out. So, alright, we got the tool in place. Now, and there we go. So now the door kind of wants to close back in on me, since there's no spring tension holding the door open anymore with the detent here that keeps it in position. But that's okay. Next up, now we can take this out and this one out here at the bottom, the two top and bottom ones, and then we should be able to pull the door right off the car. Okay, with the spring out of the way, I can now start knocking out these pins. There it goes. And pull the pin the rest of the way out. Alright. Alright, well, because of the angle of the bottom hinge and getting that tool in there, I'm just going to unbolt the hinges. I already unbolted the top one. I didn't like where I was having to hit with the hammer to get that bottom pin out, so I'm just going to unbolt it and then get the hinge out. And so basically I'll just have to realign the door again when I go to put it back on. Yeah, I'll just finish unbolting this bottom one here, and then we'll get the door off. Now there's 3 bolts per hinge to hold it onto the door, and then 3 bolts that make it. You can see now the door's starting to flop, but since we have our cradle, we don't have to worry about it. So here's the door. Here's what we got. We got some, you can see a little bit of rust. It's just all surface rust. It's underneath the seam sealer that was on there. I know some of the seam sealer have been pulling off, and I peeled it away and revealed some of this rust that's here. It's not bad. It's not rotted. It just looks like the surface for now. That's why I want to address it. You can see a little bit here. It's just all along the seam here. So I'm going to strip the rest of the seam sealer off here and sandblast this area to make sure this door doesn't rot away and rust out. And one thing I don't like about this is that plastic bushing that slides into the jack. With the weight of the door on there, it was it wanted to teeter and pop out of there, so I had to keep holding on to it while I was maneuvering it and then lifting it up out onto my stand over here. So I may weld up a metal piece to go in there that'll make this a little bit more solid, other than that universal plastic. It's designed to fit different sized holes, but I don't need it. I'm going to be using with this one jack and this one jack only. I'm going to weld up a metal pin to go in that hole, and that will be better use. But you can see here, yeah, no door. There's the hinges. There's so now we can clean that all up. I'm gonna repaint this car. It's gonna be red, but a different, probably a different shade of red, something a little bit more brighter. So I'm gonna be painting these door jambs. Either way, even if I went to the original color, I'd be painting these door jambs and these hinges, cleaning these up, and yeah. So that's what we got. Next up, some sandblasting. It's messy, so I'll do that off camera. And when we come back, we will have this all cleaned up, and we'll flip it over, and I'll start doing the finish work on this door. And that's what we got left. So I'll have to cover all this up, cover up all these holes, minimize the amount of sand coming in. Getting inside the door, I don't want to get all it's full of sand. That's just another headache in itself. So I'll tape up all that. I'm not gonna sandblast the whole door, just this bottom edge. That's all I need to do. There's no signs of rust anywhere else, so that's it. So off to sandblasting.